Welcome. What's going on? Welcome to I Was in This House podcast. I'm your host. My name is Everett. So last week had Willie Ward on. That was really interesting. If you guys don't know who Willie Ward on, the GOAT of HVAC, check him out. He's got amazing content. That video is on YouTube and Facebook and everything else. It'll be dropped on audio here shortly. If it's not already dropped. So very good. It was a really interactive episode. There were so many people in the chat, so it was a very, very cool old school kind of deal. I'm very excited about that. Coming up on the podcast, I've got a lot of cool guests. I've got like Joe Crisera and so forth and so on. And so today I have an incredible guest. Actually, I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Sarah. Sarah works for Cooper&Hunter. Sarah, I'll let you introduce yourself. Why are you on this podcast?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think people find themselves in this industry one of two ways. They either are born into it or they get here accidentally. And I accidentally found my way into HVAC. Started with Linux about 18 years ago in Colorado and did various roles there, from inside sales to a branch manager to a TM for several years, working with contractors. Worked with Carrier on the ICP side for a few years in the field, getting a feel for independent distribution and that go-to-market. And then I spent 5 years with Fujitsu before coming to Cooper&Hunter in July of last year. So I've kind of gotten passionate about the direction and the trends in the industry with technology and advancements and, following the growth and where that's happening. And so got a really exciting call from Artur, who I know at Comfortside West, Cooper&Hunter, and just got stoked about what he was building and wanted to be part of the team.
Yeah. For those that are listening, so Cooper&Hunter is, who is Cooper&Hunter? I know everybody knows who they are, but who are they?
Yeah, so great question. Relatively new to the market in the grand scheme of things, but not a new company. About 30 years ago, it started in the Ukraine, a family-owned business. They were the biggest LG distributor out there, built up the market, and after building it up and creating a bunch of brand recognition, LG pulled the line from them and decided to go direct. So hard part's over, right? They just took it from there. And then the same thing happened with Samsung. So after building up a market twice for two different brands, the decision was made that they weren't going to let it happen again. So they created Cooper&Hunter. It is an American-sounding name, but it actually started in the Ukraine. We're in 55 countries worldwide, and it wasn't until about 11 years ago that the family moved to the States and started in Miami, focused on the East Coast, really building up the branding with some great sponsorships like the New York Yankees and the Florida Panthers, and now we have a NASCAR guy who's really exciting.
Champions across the board.
Yeah.
The New York. Yeah, I know. I was actually so stoked because when Artur and I were talking, and because I'm obviously now I've got like a ton of listeners, and it was like, hey, like we already knew each other, and he was like, dude, this is like perfect. Like I love your products. You're cool. Like let's just partner up. And then like I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, they're the sponsor for the New York Yankees, and I'm like I am. I'm a ridiculous.
So I was in this house. Yeah, like you're on the same level as the New York Yankees.
I was like, and when I say like I was like born in, like I'm not like a fair weather Yankee fan. Like I am, like my dad was born in New York City, like those kids in like this 50s, you see that the baseball bats hanging on their, backwards hat, like taking the subway. Like that was my dad. That's like, I grew up with that, like going to Yankee games as a kid, like it's entrenched. So all these like fair weather fans, like, oh yeah, Yankees. No, dude, I was like, and I get a lot more respect when I say that. So super stoked. Most championships of any organization ever. Super cool. But on that note, Florida Panthers, 2 straight championships. That's bonkers. By the way,
I think some of that is because we were part of it. I really do.
You guys exude greatness, and Artur and I also took a 3-day intensive training together It was like, management development, leadership development, problem solving skills and stuff like that. And we went through that. It was amazing. And he and I were grouped up together a bunch of times because they like to mix in the personalities in the group.
Right.
If you haven't noticed, I'm probably, pretty extroverted, and I'm very talkative. And our tour's a little more mild mannered and, a little more reserved and so forth. But it's taken me all these years in my life to kind of like understand like the different type, I'm always a student. I don't know, you're probably are too, because you're sort of in a sales role. Like, I just love to learn about like personalities and how people interact in the world and motivations. And speaking of that, you and I were talking about this, off stage, like, talk about the sentiment right now. Like, what are you seeing in the HVAC industry as far as sentiment is concerned, customer sentiment, the contractor sentiment? Talk about that.
Yeah. Gosh, there's so much change. Like, aside from regulatory changes and M1 and refrigerant transitions and all of those things, that's been on the books for a long time. I think what we didn't necessarily see happening, and what I've been fascinated by, is just this shift in distributors, contractors, and homeowners caring less about the brand that they install. And I say that having worked for 4 different manufacturers. So I think some of this is a product of, you've got a lot of manufacturers that are kind of hanging their hats on their history or their logo, or maybe something that they did or innovated years ago, and they think it's enough to keep them relevant and popular and growing today.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is such a loaded conversation, because like I've been not only like acutely dealing with this over the last, like, let's say 10 years, but like if we rewind the clock, so you were in HVAC the last probably 10 years, right? Like, you've been in HVAC.
18, I think now.
Oh, 18. Okay, so you and I are actually almost the same amount of time in the business. And like, remember, like back in the day, like the manufacturers had a stranglehold.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you just walk, I mean, literally, and you still see the remnants of it, right? Because you just see the trucks all would say, like, you were married to that manufacturer. Like, if you decide to take on the manufacturer, like in a lot of cases, like especially if you were a sophisticated outfit in any way, and you weren't just like, actually, I would say even trucking the trucks, it would just say like, oh, you're Carrier, oh, you're Train, oh, you're Lennox, and that's what you specialized in. And that's like, people that, like, the customer would call you and say, oh, are you Carrier? I remember this. I remember when I first hit the field. Oh, are you guys Carrier? It wasn't, are you guys John's Heating and Air?
Absolutely.
And
you were the Carrier guys, if that's what they were looking for.
I'd be interested to hear what your thoughts are on why the change has happened and the customer sentiment has changed, because I've heard a lot of answers to this.
Yeah. I mean, years ago, we'd hear the stories about, like, there was a survey and most homeowners think that their HVAC system is a Honeywell or whatever. And, there's always been kind of those discussions. But in the reality, I think there was brand awareness that impacted the in-home sales process years ago. Now, what I'm seeing now is distributors are fed up with their relationships with these big brands, right? Contractors are frustrated because they're not getting the support that they would expect for the price point.
Hover there for a second. So the first thing you're saying is that distributors are at, okay, no, why is that?
Yeah, I mean, I talk to distributors, and I have in several roles where they feel like, well, we deal with this brand. And then the first thing they tell me is, we hate dealing with this brand. And so it's like, okay, tell me more. What do you hate about it? Well, there's no support, or, we can't, they never come see us. They never talk to us, or we're still dealing with warranty problems for years ago, or whatever it is. And it's like, man, how much do you spend with them? It seems like you'd be able to get a question answered or a problem solved, but they just don't feel the love and support and partnership. It feels like a one-way street to a lot of these distributors. So a shift from distribution to change primary lines is not an easy shift, right? You have to change your inventory, you have to change your processes and how you purchase, and maybe your programs are tied in with that product. But meanwhile, they're unhappy with it, right? So we're seeing a lot of folks that are like, well, we're not necessarily ready to change our primary line, but we're very interested in bringing on a second line. And that's something they haven't done for 15 or 20 years. They've stuck with one brand for that particular product category. So, we'll come in as a second line or, another option for somebody, and they'll think like, yeah, that might end up being 10, 20, 30% of our business. But what we're finding is, once these contractors know that they have another option, they eat it right up. I mean, they're just stoked to not have to deal with whoever that primary line was. So, we'll have distributors calling us saying like, well, we didn't realize how much business we were missing out on because they had already found a second line. They were just buying it from somebody else. So, I think ultimately those transitions can be challenging, but it doesn't have to be like a light switch. And, if you're going to spend money with a business, you should feel like you're getting something out of it. You should feel like there's a partnership and that you can pick up the phone and call somebody and get a question answered or, get taken care of.
So there's three facets of this. There's one, which is from the manufacturer to the distributor,
Mm-hmm.
which you've gone into detail about. And yeah, I imagine the logistics of that have got to be kind of difficult. Like, I mean, it's not just about bringing in the line. You've got support, you've got warehouse space. Not only that, but you've got to make sure that you can actually support the product from the distributor side. I mean, it's a lot, right?
Yeah, it can be. It can be overwhelming.
Then you have it from the contractor perspective, which I really acutely understand.
Yeah.
But what are you seeing on the contractor side of things?
Yeah, so the contractor feedback is usually based off of frustration about programs or, getting, there was a rebate where I was supposed to earn money and I can't have access to it because of the way they administer it, or they make me want to jump through hoops to get paid for this or that promo. But I think more importantly is where those contractors have conversations with homeowners, right? So it's really like four faceted because you've got the distributor conversation, the manufacturer, the distributor, you have the contractor, and then you have the homeowner. So what's interesting about this is I think like I was looking into the changes in pricing. And I mean, you've seen price increases, right, over the last 5 years that have been completely unprecedented.
It's insane. Yeah.
It's bonkers. So we were looking at a survey from ACHR News that said the average home, HVAC system replacement in 2020 was, do you want to guess how much it was?
Like installed, like the selling price?
Yeah, what the homeowner pays for an HVAC, an average system in 2020.
Across the whole country?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure it's probably lower than I think it is because I've worked for like some the spectrum's all over because you had guys giving.
Yeah,
stuff.
It's a big.
You had guys giving stuff away, like making no margin, going out of business.
Yeah.
So like I want to say it was probably like $9,000. So like a full HVAC system, yeah.
Yeah, indoor outdoor. In 2020, it was $6,000.
Okay.
That was average, right? And granted, there's like the 14-seer auctioneer contractor, the chuck in a truck or whatever,
Sure.
where all he's doing is slapping it in. He doesn't have overhead, and that plays into that factor.
Sure,
right?
Sure.
Same system installed by somebody else might cost twice as much.
Okay.
So that was 2020, $6,000. In 2025, the average system replacement was. Do you want to guess on this one?
Double.
I won't put you through it. Okay, it's $12,000.
Yeah, it's double.
So that is 100% increase.
100% increase. Yeah.
I'm not getting paid twice as much as I was 5 years ago. Most people aren't getting paid twice as much as they were 5 years ago. Like, we don't have to go into the cost of eggs or whatever, but like people are running out of money. And so when you're starting to run out of money, but you still want to be able to survive a summer in Houston or a winter in Chicago, you gotta make some sacrifices. So now all of a sudden, I'm interested in whatever brand that contractor recommends. I might have even called about a certain brand if it's what I had or what I see on my, on my social media feed or whatever. But ultimately, if I'm sitting down talking to a contractor and they make a recommendation, that same survey with ACHR News showed that 87% of homeowners relied on the contractor's recommendation for the brand of equipment that was installed.
87. Yeah.
87%.
Yeah.
So that
80.
tells me
Yeah,
like
that makes sense.
only 13% of homeowners
We're
give a crap about the brand.
I bet you if you rolled that back to the 80s or 90s, I bet you it was more like reversed. Like it was probably 80% did care about the brand,
Yeah.
and now they or didn't rely on the contractor. They probably knew going in, like, hey, I really want whatever Carrier, Lennox, Train, whatever brand name they recognize, But don't forget, like, how much time a lot of these all of these manufacturers spent branding their manufacturing companies,
Right.
like branding them like the famous, like, Indianapolis, or it was Indianapolis Colts, where they give like Jim Mora, like, playoffs. Like there's this really famous like interview that he does, and in the background the sponsor for, again, Indianapolis, it was Carrier Corporation, and it was just, you saw Carrier logos everywhere. And I can tell you right now that my like older aunts and uncles, like I remember, like they were like replacing their HVAC system. They were like, oh yeah, and we got a Carrier, like right. they that was like a very, you know what I mean.
It was almost prestigious there.
Yeah, but go talk to a Gen Zer, you know what I mean? A 24, 25-year-old or a millennial, you know what I mean? In their 30s now. Go ask them about brands of HVAC, and they're probably like, I don't know. Like, I just had a guy come out and, he proposed whatever it was. He gave me a good warranty, and that was it, or whatever.
Right. Yeah. And now when I set it at 72, it's 72. So like ultimately, I don't think anybody gives a crap about their HVAC system at all. Like, they just want to be comfortable in their home. There's that
like once a year, like person that like geeks out on this stuff, where like, if you're like in like HVAC sales, you're like, oh my gosh, I got the guy. Like, he's the guy. Like, he's done all the, like he loves all the stuff. He geeks out and nerds out. And I don't want to say it's like once a year, but I will say there are, so there's personality types, as you already know, right? Yeah. So you have people who will, they sit on this on the in the personality profile and the analytical type, and they just love to like nerd out and geek out over this stuff, and so you want that customer, especially if you're a very knowledgeable sort of person.
Yeah, and they'll appreciate the product specs when most homeowners, are waiting until you get to the price part or whatever.
Speaking of that, though, you actually have pretty strong opinions on like the in-home process, like as a woman working in HVAC, you think more like a consumer, right? Yeah. And you think about the kitchen table, and you think about like, if somebody's in a major purchase, right? Like, talk about that. Like, I remember you referenced something about that, and I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So this is a fun conversation for me. And I mean, there are a lot of very technical people in this industry, many technical women in this industry. I'm not one of them, right? My brain is more focused on the sales experience and the emotion behind the buying, the psychology behind all of it. And I think that, we end up with people who come in and they're talking about, SEER and HSPF, and they're talking about inverter driven, and they're talking about specs, right? They're not talking about the benefit of that inverter driven system and what it means to have even temperatures, right? They're not talking about what do you do in the middle of the night when you get hot under the covers. Do you get up out of your bed and change the thermostat? No, usually you just hang a dang leg outside of the covers, and then in 30 minutes you wake up and you have to tuck that leg back under the covers, and you do this all night every night for 15 years, right? You don't necessarily know that as a homeowner you have options that can solve problems like that and maintain even temperatures, right? I mean, I grew up thinking that commercials got louder because I would sit there and turn the volume up, on my TV periodically. And then I'd be like, why is the TV so loud? And sometimes commercials are louder, but most of the time it's because my dang AC kicked on, right? And so now all of a sudden the house is just noisy as can be. So we
I think
compensate
I think
for
commercials do get louder because I think they know people like get up, they go to the kitchen, they grab something, and like they do. Like if you're watching a TV show and then like the actual commercial comes on, like it's louder.
Yeah, but then the AC stops, and it's like, okay, the TV's loud.
Oh, like I didn't
Why does the
realize
AC
like
loud?
my air conditioner was so loud. Yeah, I think
Then I turn it up.
people also become numb to that kind of stuff, like where I've had this conversation so many times where like there's a condenser, you know, right outside the
Bedroom
window,
Yeah.
and they just it's like and they just live with it, and then they're like, and then like they'll get like, I've had a lot of people who will get like a variable speed unit or a unit that, you know, that's like a side expulsion unit. And
Right.
they can barely hear it. And they're like, oh my gosh, like I can
Is it
stand
working?
next to it. Like, is it even on? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty wild.
Yeah.
Like we're starved for it. I think human beings are starved for it. And I don't want to belabor this point. I don't want to, you know, I'm very passionate about that topic in general. So I'm kind of old school. I like new tools. I'm just kind of old school. So
Yeah. No, and I think so the way I see it being really helpful is if you've got AI on the back end to help you generate reports and pull data and, you know, create information at your fingertips quickly, that's a great use for it. Like if I'm a TM and I can type in a quick query and bust out like, okay, where are they year over year with this particular product category? What's falling, what's growing while I'm on my way to a contractor meeting? Or if they ask me a question that's relevant to their business and I can look that up while we talk, that's cool. I think that's beneficial because it's providing informative data when it's needed. But you need a human to talk through what that data means for that person's business.
Yeah, I agree. But we'll see what the future holds. And hopefully we'll all be here after the aliens come down and everything else, you know.
Right?
Yeah. After we're running congressional hearings on like
yeah, it actually would make me feel a little bit better.
Cooper&Hunter's new peak unit runs efficiently up to 19 SEER 2 with BTU capacity that ranges between 18 to 55,000 for indoor and outdoor units. Compared to a traditional gas furnace, Peak's revolutionary design is ready to step in without a hassle thanks to its adaptive multi-voltage. True high-performance hyper units provide a 100% heating output at negative 13 degrees. Looking inside the unit, the new M-Coil is highly efficient and provides a better airflow that reflects in a higher static pressure. Our Smart Kit is included, giving you access to control your device from the comfort of your phone. Peak stands for powerful, efficient, auto voltage detection, and quiet. To learn more, visit our website or talk to your local distributor. Cooper&Hunter, addicted to comfort.
The is it working question is something that, like, honestly, contractors need to prepare their customers for how the system will operate differently than a single stage system, because it's not going to just run and turn off. You know, like the best thing you can do for the efficiency of the system is let it run. You know, you're going to get more out of it if you just let it slowly maintain your temperatures versus turning it off, turning it back on.
Yeah, I've had this. So it's funny you say this too, because there are good organizations, good reps, and people that like they go through the process, and there's an actual like a process of going through like, hey, Sarah, like this is how the system works. This could be your benefit. This is the type of system that it is. And so there's a level of that. And then there's also a lot of guys, they're just like they're just whipping through, right? They're just like, yeah, this is a single stage, 2-stage variable speed. There you go. And like nobody has any idea the benefit of any of that stuff. And then they don't educate their customers. And then on the other side of it is like, not only did you not educate your customer, but you didn't actually gain their trust, because there's no better way to gain the trust of somebody and secure the business, right? At the end of the day, I don't care if you're a service technician. I don't care if you're an owner of a company. I don't care if you're an installer. Like everybody in an organization's job is to like you represent the company. Like every single tech out there that listens to like, and I've said this a million times, like, I don't care what you do. You could be fixing a unit. Like you are in some sort of a sale. There's a transaction happening. Somebody is paying for you to actually fix the unit, right? You're doing a repair or you're replacing the unit and somebody the money exchanged hands and you got a salary or you got an hourly rate and you did the job.
Right.
And it's super important for everybody to realize that. Like, I think, and I, you know, I teach this, like I teach communication. And so it's very difficult sometimes for people to step out of the box, but that's another part of having a good partner, right? Like if you have a good distributor, if you have a good partner with your manufacturer, they can help you to do that. Are you guys doing any of that stuff?
Yeah, we do. We do trainings at our facility in South Dallas. We actually, in April, we're going to be in a 270,000 square foot facility. So that's a really exciting thing. We've been in Dallas for 2 years and we've already outgrown the 150,000 square feet that we have. So like
Wow.
we're growing like gangbusters, but I'm excited because it means that we'll have not just a residential product training lab, but commercial and parts on hand.
Where
So yeah.
are you like what gets distributed out of Dallas right now? Like out of your Dallas branch? Like
Everything but parts right now, parts and VRF. So we ship our parts and VRF out of Florida right now, but when we move into the new facility, we'll have parts on hand.
How far
here.
does that distributor ship out to?
Across the country, and now we're into Latin America.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're working on Canada eventually, maybe too. So
are you traveling?
That's on the US
you
side.
traveling a lot to go to these places to meet people and like yeah?
I am. Yeah, we also have people in different markets and we have some rep groups in different markets. So, you know, we have local representation. We try and be in the areas where we're developing these relationships so that, you know, if you do need something, somebody's just a short ride away.
Yeah.
But Texas is such a big market. I'm located here in Texas and our warehouse and our Comfortside West headquarters is here in the Dallas area.
But you alluded, I think you said you've traveled quite a bit. Like you stayed like something like 100 and something stays in like 1 year at like one type of hotel or something like that.
Yeah,
We'll tell that
on
story.
the road a lot.
Yeah,
I'm
here,
on the road
so
a lot.
we'll start this story with, so I was in this hotel.
Yeah, and I am in houses, so don't get me wrong. But I think last year was pushing 130 nights in Marriott properties. It's not a small
Wow.
amount of hotel stays for me, and I mean I get excited when my kids recognize me when I come home. But like I've traveled their whole lives, so it's not something that's traumatic for them. It's just our dynamic. And I had to laugh, like, you know how for Mother's Day in elementary school, your kid will fill out the form about, you know, about my mom, and they ask questions about your mom's favorite food or, you know, something that they're going to screw up, like how much does your mom weigh or how old is she or whatever, right? So they give them opportunities to be funny. But my favorite was, what does your mom do while you're at school? And at the time, my kindergartner wrote, Mom goes on boring vacations for money. Because I travel for work, but before I leave, I always make sure that they don't think I'm going to like this, you know, super exotic place where I'm just going to have all the fun and go on roller coasters and, you know, do all the stuff that kids would want to do. It's like, no, I'm going to be in meetings and I'm going to be working. So it's just going to be a boring vacation. And that's really what I do, Everett, is I go on boring vacations for money.
I want to go on boring vacations. I used to actually travel quite a bit with a role that I had. Good. So yeah, what about houses? I mean, do you have like so I was in this house kind of tale?
Yeah. I mean, I can share some hotel stories too. God, there's so many. Like, I mean, first of all, if you want to travel right, you order 2 beds instead of 1, even if you're by yourself. So get the 2 queens, and then you can take the covers from 1 queen and put it on top of the other one. Then you can like crank up the AC as much as possible so that the P-tack doesn't, you know, shut off and come back on. It's just running constantly. Right. That's one of my tricks. But we did have an instance where I was staying with.
Why? I don't understand. Like, why?
Because they're so loud, right? And so
But you're saying you like the noise? You want the noise to
if it's constant, then it doesn't wake me up, right? So if it's running all night, then it's not as bad as if it runs for 10 minutes and then kicks off, and then runs for 10 minutes and then kicks off. You know how this goes.
No, I get it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
No.
So that's one of my tricks for people who travel. But
so it's not because you want it freezing in there.
I mean, I don't. If it has to be freezing, that's fine, and I can turn the fan on and all of those things. But I do like to have the extra covers. But we were at a hotel in Oklahoma City once, and I was traveling with some of my coworkers, and we had a couple of hours to kill before we had a dinner reservation with some customers. And so we were all, changing into t-shirts and whatever so that we could crank out emails. And then all of a sudden the fire alarm's going off, and we're like, well, is this a real fire, or is it just one of those like test the fire alarm situations? And anyway, I started to smell the fire, and it was like an electrical fire. And I went, all right, well, I guess this is real. So I go downstairs and I'm talking with my coworkers, and then we see the fire department come, and we're like, well, this isn't a great sign. And fast forward a few minutes, there's water from the sprinklers that's just showering down the 2-story lobby and flooding the lobby. My room had to be relocated because it was too close to where the actual fire was. So it was, it was damp, and fortunately I hadn't unpacked yet, but that was a mess. Somebody got their gun stolen out of a Hampton Inn in a San Antonio parking lot that I was traveling with. Don't drive a stick shift and use valet. That's valet parkers don't know how to drive a stick shift.
That should be a prerequisite. Like if you're gonna work as a valet, you should know how to drive a stick, because there's stick cars exist.
They
in the world.
do exist. They even make new ones, but So go figure.
Yeah. So dumb. Yeah.
They just don't train the kids to drive stick shifts anymore. But everything's become so automated, and like everything is simplistic. And you know what I realized today too, and I don't know how it is in your industry. I like to hear about it, but like I realize how much time we spend trying to like optimize like things, and like optimize like automations, and optimizing like AI things that you're going to put into your life. And I started calculating the amount of time that you're like trying to do like workarounds so that the AI or the automation works. Yeah.
And then I like think about like, why don't we dial this back? What are we trying to accomplish? Am I spending more time trying to create an automation that works than I would actually just spend like just doing what I'm trying to automate?
Yeah. If I just did it. Absolutely.
Oh my God. I'm worried about the world. I legitimately am worried about the world.
No, there's a lot of reasons to be worried. I don't know. I think AI is going to get better, but it is what it is. I use it on occasion too. And my thought is, if I can use it to create something that is like an SOP, or it needs to be done once, then that's time well spent. But if I have to reinvent the wheel and spend 70 prompts to create something,
no doubt.
No
doubt. I love like the way that it can make things like concise, or like reorganize like your own like thoughts or whatever. But are you working with AI within the business right now, like with what you're doing?
We're doing some back-end piloting of things. We're kind of testing some things out. I'm still not real thrilled with what I've seen so far as samples. I know there are companies out there that do it very, very well. So I think we're still in a place where a personal touch is necessary, and there's nuance in conversation that doesn't necessarily shine through with AI. But it's getting better and better.
Tell me about that though. Okay, so we work obviously, and I've always said this, in a very humanized industry. Like we're like the last of the Mohicans, where I think contractors, especially contractors that are buying your equipment, Like they want human interaction. They want a territory manager. What's your experience with this? What do you think? Do you think that's gonna stay? Do you think that's like just like a part of the industry? It's like baked into the culture. Do you think it's gonna like change and it's gonna be like, well, we don't need like your company doesn't need a territory? What do you think?
I mean, I think there's always a need for personal interaction. That doesn't mean that some things can't be automated or optimized through tools, right? And then you've got generations of people that are in the same role, in the same category of the industry that just are way more open to automation or AI or whatever. And then you've got the folks that like, I'm not going to touch it, right? So like if you're a distributor or a contractor and you handle things that way, you almost have to have an alternative for the people who are really averse to it, or be prepared to lose some people over it. If a TM is a great example. If you replace a TM with, some AI chatbot or whatever, it doesn't matter how efficient or impactful that chatbot is. That relationship with that TM, like they know that TM's family, they feel like that TM was instrumental in building their business, has talked them through tools and strategies that have made them profitable. That TM's put money, food on their table, right? In a lot of cases, if they're doing their job well. So if all you are as a TM is somebody who drops off donuts and brochures, yeah, get better because you're replaceable. But if you're a TM that's actually coming into a contractor's office and doing some business coaching, working with them through their books, making sure that they are aware of industry updates and insights and finding opportunities for them to make more money through maintenance agreements or indoor air quality, or maybe they're not taking advantage of certain product categories. Like that's your job as a territory manager, is to grow the business of your partners. I don't think that can be replaced by AI.
You know what I think? I think that every territory manager in like, not just HVAC, but HVAC's a big one, but like you have other plumbing, there's other trades that have that operate with territory managers. I think everybody would need to hear that, because when you just said, like, if you're only dropping off donuts and brochures, I can tell you right now that as someone who's operated a business before, I have had that happen so many times where my territory manager comes, drops off brochures and donuts, and that's like the extent of it.
Yeah.
And look, maybe it was my secondary distributor, but I can tell you this: anybody who bent over backwards or said, "I'll get back to you," and then they got back to you, like that's I'm in. And I don't want to say I'm like old school, but I think you're right. I think that you really can't replace that relationship with the TM. I think it's too tightly interwoven, because you want to be able to call them and be like, hey, listen, I'm going to place an order for XYZ. I know you said that you guys have this other model. It's on the way. Can you do me a favor? I'm going to like pre-buy this, but can you like hold some of those old ones for me?
Yeah.
Like there's not, I mean, again, I don't want to have that conversation with like a chat bot. I want to have that conversation with a person, quite frankly. And I don't want to say that I'm worried. Worried is the wrong word, but I'm definitely like, I am all about adopting AI. I think about like the sheer amount of like kind of humanity that we might lose. And I hope that in like every state, like every company comes to their senses and goes, we cannot replace the human element of what we do. But I have a prediction, and I've said this before, and I've said this on other podcasts too. My prediction is that in the future, okay, the next 5 years or so, I think that the most human companies are the ones that are going to win. The ones that you can use AI, all the tools in the world. I really do think that. But I think that the most human company wins. So I Was in This House podcast is a proud partner of My Method AI. Does this sound like you? Not enough time in the day, under a sink, facing a furnace, losing customers because you can't get to the phone in time, too many estimates to follow up with, and not enough time to get to them? My Method AI has solved this problem with their specialized AI employees who will book the call, follow up on the estimate, chat, and answer the phone 24/7, 365. Some companies have even seen as much as a 100% revenue lift after implementing. Not all AI automation companies are the same. My Method AI builds hyper customized AI employees that are specifically tailored to your business with your processes, even down to the accent they speak in. So don't settle for an out of the box canned solution. Book a demo today to see if My Method AI is a good fit for you. Visit mymethod.ai/inthishouse. That's mymethod.ai/inthishouse. My Method AI. We handle the busy work so you can do the real work. So I have the same question that I ask on pretty much every single podcast, and it's no exception. I want to know, what is one customer experience that you've had that shapes you, that you look back and it was so profound of an experience that in some way it shaped your life?
There have been a lot of people that have shaped my life and my career, but there is one particular quote that has stuck with me, and I've repeated it so many times. Anybody that's listening to this that knows me has heard it, I'm sure. But I sat down with a distributor in Arkansas, and Kyle Welch with Sanders Supply was the guy who said this. He told me, and this was in reference to, mini splits and inverter heat pump technology. He said, people sell what they fear the least. And it obviously applies to equipment and new technology, but it kind of is a universal thought, right? So if I'm not doing an effective job removing any discomfort or concern, or teaching you enough so that you feel confident talking about my product, you're not going to talk about it, right? You're going to be worried, what if somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer? So if I'm talking to distribution and they don't have confidence in either their product knowledge, their tools and resources, or the support behind the product, then they're going to be hesitant to bring it up when they talk to their contractors. And then they have to effectively communicate all of that information to the contractor so that the contractor has the confidence to then talk to their team, and their team has to talk to homeowners. So it's a trickle down of knowledge. And if we don't create an atmosphere where the people we do business with have a ton of, appreciation for the support and a lot of training and understanding, or at least the confidence that if they call or text or go online, they can find the tools and the answers that they're looking for, then the conversation stops, right?
There's a huge philosophical implication in that statement. And I was just thinking about this, right? Think about when that guy says people sell, just think about that as anything that you are trying to get across to someone, any opinion that you're trying to say, right? Or any expression you're trying to have. Then it makes a whole lot of sense. You go to your safe space and then you use whatever is, I thought about this. This is very interesting, right? So I love long form podcasts. I like conversations. I like conversations in general. If you're going to tell me what the way in which I should be communicating with somebody, or how I would prefer to communicate with somebody, I know that AI apps that are trying to figure out what I'm saying, they're not going to read my body language. They're not going to I want to have conversations with people. And part of that has to do with the expression in which I do that. And so here, let's call this podcast, right? I am literally selling conversations. I don't know what it sounds stupid. I'm having them, but I'm literally this is my thing. Right. So but this is my safe space. This is where I live. And so I love that. That's remarkable. People sell what they fear the least. And that goes into what you do too, because then if you know, if people are unfamiliar with the products, then they're just not, I mean, there can't be any clarity. So, I mean, there can't be any, there has to be clarity.
Right.
And that goes further to the homeowners too, because here, think about this, right? So like there's a phrase within like sales, which is a confused mind says no. A confused mind doesn't buy. Yeah. Because they're confused. So the number one thing you have to do is be a teacher, is take the time. And most people don't want to take the time. And that's where they fall short.
Yeah. It's so true. You have to make it easy for them, but you have to also provide them with opportunities to learn. And they have to learn enough, and that level is different for everybody, right? They have to learn enough to where they feel good about what they've, you know, what they've been taught. And then their job, in almost like throughout the whole sales process, their job is to then regurgitate that information to somebody else in a way that they understand it and appreciate it. So it's not just that they have to learn it, they have to learn it well enough to teach it. And sometimes they're teaching it to a stranger. Sometimes that stranger is an engineer that has all of the questions, right? So they'll have to know, okay, if I encounter a hiccup or a question that I don't have the answer to, am I going to get the support from my distributor or my manufacturer or somebody in my organization that they'll get back to me with information, or they'll answer the phone if I call, or can I use their app to look things up, or their website to look up information? So all of those things have to come together, because if there's any hesitancy that happens there, that person is going to be less likely to discuss that product, that service, that program, period.
It's a great lesson. I love it. It's one of my favorites. And this is like episode number, I'm getting close to 100. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Okay. So you hit 2 years, right?
Yeah. I hit 2 years, but there's also a bunch of episodes that, like I have some that are like recorded that I haven't released. I have shorts. I have all sorts of stuff. Yeah. But yeah. So two full years. And it's, I mean, you know, it's been bonkers, like just the interaction, the amount of like listeners, the amount of, it's really been something really cool. And I knew it came from a really good place of just like sincerity. So I guess that makes sense, is like, I love having these stories. I was just showcased in like the HVAC Tactical magazine, and like, yeah, it's pretty cool. So
it's been cool, right?
It's been fun. It's, you know, in a way, like there's a lot of fun to it. One thing that I had to like learn and teach myself is some of the things that probably, if you rewind the clock a while, it'd be like, just record it. And then, you know, like there's none of this video stuff. Like, and now like people like to like watch their podcast and watch the conversation happen. And it's like, this is like a big deal. So now I'm like uploading like video, like onto like places that I probably would have just put audio on, like Spotify. I don't know. Anyway. So
no, but this is very cool. Like you're passionate about what you do, and it comes through, which is absolutely awesome.
Yeah. So,
and you've got like a stellar list of guests. Like it's actually really flattering to be, you know, to be alongside them. Some absolute legends in the industry.
Let me ask you this. Let's talking about that. Like one of the reasons why I do this is because like it's like this is like the kind of human side of what we do. Like what, like coming up into this industry, or like going through like your like course of like life, right? Like talk about like how like I want you to think about like a line, like your career, like where you started and like kind of where you ended up. Like how does that like all come together and like, oh, you're in HVAC?
It's such a squiggle. I mean, I studied public relations in college, and so I thought I was going to be one of those people that was like a press agent. Like,
no way.
But, oh yeah, like either.
Where'd you? Do you mind saying where you went to college?
No, I went to Texas Tech.
There you go, Raiders.
Ends up, yeah. So
I went out to Lubbock this year, and it was.
You?
I loved it. Yeah, like I went out.
It's still pretty flat.
Yeah, it's super flat. I mean, except out in Ransom Canyon, that's amazing. You go down and like look at Ransom Canyon. I'm like, this
cool
is
homes out there too.
Really beautiful. Yeah. but so I went to a game out. I went to the first game of the season. Pat Green was out in the
Nice.
the courtyard. I was like super, super cool. And then like, so my buddy's kids, both of his kids, one is there now and one's going next year. So like, it's like, I'll be going back and forth to Lubbock, like going to football games, whatever. It'll be fun.
Awesome. No,
Yeah.
it was a great place to go to college. You know, we definitely made our fun while we were there. But no, I ended up after college, I worked for a chemical manufacturer out of Dallas, and it was one of those situations where, you know, like I had like the pencil skirts and the high heels and the badge to take me to the 20th floor or whatever. And it was more or less an inside sales customer service role.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of problem solving, which I find as I talk to people in this industry, there's often a passion for problem solving, like putting together puzzles or taking care of things. And so that's a lot of what I did there. And when we moved to Colorado for my husband's job, I got a call from Nancy Terry at Lennox Industries, and I thought she was calling about a role in Dallas. And we'd been moving from Dallas to Colorado, so I was actually pretty dismissive when she called. And when she said Lennox, I was thinking China and Crystal. Like I had no idea Lennox was heating and air conditioning. It was just a totally foreign concept to me. But I ended up saying, yeah, sure, I'll go and explore it. And I went to the interview with Todd Heinrich out there, and I showed up in my suit and with my pumps, and I'm all ready for a professional experience, and I'm driving and I'm like, this cannot be right. You know, I'm going to the wrong side of the tracks, and I'm walking into this crappy old building. They since upgraded, but I walk in and I'm looking around and everything is just dingy and gross, and there's HVAC contractors everywhere.
It's
and
it's very different now.
It's so different.
I have been in that building in Richardson. I have been in that building.
Oh, no, this was in Denver. The Richardson was like the Taj Mahal compared to this building.
Okay.
Building, and like, this is early 2008 before they moved. So Todd and I are talking, and what I learned is that, you know, I like the people I work with, and I like feeling connected to people and collaborating with them to build something. And Todd was and is an awesome man and great boss, and he hired me for an inside sales role where I'm putting together quotes for product that I don't even know what it does. Like I grew up being told not to touch the thermostat, right? So this was, you could show me a picture of a water heater and a furnace side by side and I wouldn't know what was what. So like I created flashcards, you know, like capacitor, compressor,
that
condenser.
is awesome.
You know, like what's the difference between these things? And I remember walking out to the warehouse and like trying to put my hands on something so I knew what it looked like.
This is where people get up in arms about it, because there are a lot of territory managers that work at these major manufacturers that came from the field and they know every little tiny thing about it, but you don't you're not working on it, right? Like you're a representative of the company that's selling. You're not the engineer, right?
Right. Yeah, well, and I'm not an engineer, right? But I enjoyed putting together these projects. I enjoyed getting phone calls from people and trying to help them find that, you know, Parker TXV that's been back ordered and what can we use instead and how do we get it and can we pull it from a different location, and you know. And then when I went into a branch manager role, that's when I discovered the counter position for these distributors, in my opinion, is the single most difficult role in the whole industry, because those poor souls have to be technical. They have to be customer facing. They're dealing with people who are in a hurry. They're dealing with limited information in most cases. They've got to know the computer systems too. I mean, there's a skill set there that's required that is so broad. And the benefit of being in inside sales is you can be like, hang on, let me find that out. I'll get right back to you, you know, and you don't have somebody staring at you while you try and find their answer.
Yeah.
No, like that's
You're
an
the
intense
second
role.
person in 2 weeks to talk about how difficult it is to staff that role.
I mean, I think they're underappreciated in a lot of cases, and the good ones, you know, we should continue to take care of them because it is important. I mean, how many contractors do you deal with where that's who they talk to for your organization, right? They're the face of your company in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But the TM role was so fun because I got to work with comfort advisors. You know, and I really enjoyed talking to them about selling in homes, communicating with homeowners, doing things differently or more professionally,
Yeah.
and, you know, kind of
Yeah.
how not to do it.
And there and depending on what market you're in, whether it's the tech is actually doing the sale, or there's a sales rep, it's like,
Yeah.
it depends. So you then you just went all the way through the ranks. That's like, as you indicated earlier, that's pretty wild. I mean, public relations, PR, and you just kind of like, and it just goes to show you, like, you just don't know, like, where you I no joke, like, right out of high school, like, I was literally in show business. Like, I literally was in entertainment. And like, if you ever want a world that will eat, you want to talk about like competitive, like nature, like eat you up and spit you out, get involved. Yeah, that. Talk to people in show business.
So you have a music background, right? Is that what you were doing in show business or something different?
So I was actually involved in both like acting and like musical theater. So I was out of high school. I ended up on a Broadway style tour, and I was a lead role, and I was young, but I was going to college for fine arts. I was actually a BFA. Yeah. I was a BFA theater major, and I got this massive role. And it was like, I mean, I'm going to school to learn how to become a professional stage actor and film actor. And I'm like getting roles. I have agents. I was like, had bi-coastal agents like in New York and LA. And I'm like, all right, well, like, I'm going to do this. So I traveled around the country for like a year, on tour, like on the tour bus, like going like different like venues, staying at a different hotel every single night, signing freaking autographs, because whatever. That is
so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I mean, it was a stage performance. We performed in front of like hundreds of thousands of people. It was like super cool. Yeah. I mean, it was a great experience for me. I got to see a lot of the country. I mean, it was one of the most life-changing and shaping years, of my life. Came back, was getting involved in voiceovers, and like there was like Radio Disney and like different commercials and stuff like that I was getting involved with. I was really young, and I didn't have a ton of guidance. I kind of like, it was an interesting path, but like I say this because, like, you fast forward, and you just don't, like, I would have never thought, like, at some point in time I'm gonna have like a master HVACR, and I'm like gonna like be like a some sort of like whiz on like in the HVAC world and home services, and run teams in the home services industry. And like, I was a super successful like rep in the field. Like, I mean, I had a lot of success, like, and so I just never thought, you just don't know. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, right. Like, it's like college becomes that like tool. And then like, you just take it and you just kind of like, you can either stay in the industry that you actually majored in or whatever, but, or you can go like these different routes. And I was listening to like Mike Rowe the other day, like, and Mike Rowe was talking about how he just talked to an electrician in Austin, and the electrician is like 26 years old, and he's involved in all these projects now. The kid's making like $250,000 a year. And, like, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in the trades in general. But
could not agree more.
I love it because of its sort of human like nature. And then, obviously, like, so I was in this house, like the whole point was like, I want to hear stuff that happened because I spent a decade or more than a decade, like inside of other people's houses. Like, I want to hear these stories.
Absolutely. And there are some crazy stories out there. So like, what a fun concept.
Yeah.
But like, no, let's go back to the education piece, because I think we're starting to see a turning point. And maybe it's because my bubble is what it is, right? But I'm starting to see more families encouraging kids to explore their passions and their aptitudes, and focusing less on this expectation that college comes after high school. Because let's be honest, like, college isn't necessary for a lot of kids, and it's not the right fit for a lot of kids.
100%. It's not right for everybody. And also, like, School of Hard Knocks, like there's an Instagram page or whatever, and he's got social media, and he goes around and he goes, "Excuse me, sir, how did you become wealthy?" Like, have you ever seen this guy?
No, but I love
Okay.
it.
He just goes, excuse me. He goes up to all these people. Some of them you recognize are celebrities. Other people in our industry, he's went up to Tommy Mello, and obviously
Cool.
Tommy made a whole bunch of money and everything else. But he walks up, he goes, excuse me, sir. Can you tell me how you became a millionaire? And it's like a 1 minute like street interview. And I will tell you right now, like he's now at a point where most of the people he's interviewing are like worth like 50 million to like, $1 billion or whatever it is or more. And a lot of these people, they have the same thing. They're like, he goes, did you grow up with a lot of money? And they go, oh my gosh, I was so poor. My mom kicked me out of the house when I was, 16 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And like a lot of these people did not have that trajectory where it was like, oh, I went, and not to say there aren't, because there are people that like went to school, went to, Stanford, Harvard, Yale, whatever, came out, did amazing things. But a lot of these super duper, like hyper successful people, all of them say like they came from very meager beginnings.
Like certainly the more interesting people came from more meager beginnings. Like I think too, we need to work on our junior highs and high schools talking to these kids about the different paths they can take, because there's this like the emotional side of it, right? If these kids don't know that they can have a successful and profitable career if they decide to go in a different direction and do trade school, be an apprentice, learn a trade, if they don't know that that's an option, then there's like a lot of some of those kids just don't think they have anything.
Well,
right?
there's a stigma that's attached to there's a stigma that's attached to it. It's becoming less and less prominent, prevalent, almost disappearing at this point in time. But nonetheless, like there is a stigma attached to it. It's like, oh, you want to go dig ditches and be a plumber or whatever. But like then you find out like, hey, actually I can make a tremendous living, be really, really happy. I mean, I can tell you this, like I love running calls. I love it. I mean, I run a team now, but like I love like going out in the field and like being in the I don't care if it's a commercial building. I don't care if it doesn't matter to me. Whatever we're getting involved with, I want to solve problems. I want to like figure out. And I think that's like there's just certain personality types that's
it's puzzles.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
No, that's awesome. And like I'm telling my kids, college isn't for everybody. If it's what you want to pursue, that's fine. Like we can talk about that. But like it used to be blue collar or white collar, right? And you had to be in a category. I can't tell you how many blue collar people I know that have incredible lives and families. I mean, some of them with their own planes and
the wealthiest people that I know are in the trades.
Yeah.
The wealthiest people, and I'm talking like deca millionaires. Like I've had people on this show, probably 5 to 6 people who are like probably individually worth each of them worth more than like $20-30 million each.
Right.
Of them. Yeah.
And they're slinging ACs and toilets and whatever, right?
Or they had an AC, company and they cashed out, or they operated and it's worth a whole lot of money or whatever it is.
Right. But they're building it up, right? And then you've got this simultaneous issue where you've got people who are trying to start a company where they know the trade, right? They're a fantastic technician, but they don't necessarily know the business.
They have no idea how to run a business. And that's why they need tools like yours and what your company can do. And obviously you guys are boutique-y. You're a lot smaller than a lot of other companies. You're growing like crazy. But I mean, in other words, like you're not sitting like I'm trained, like it's but I can say this, the brand recognition is growing so much with Cooper&Hunter, because I had somebody even from the like Pennsylvania who contacted me. He's like, hey man, can you put me in touch with the Cooper&Hunter people? We want to switch our company over to their VRV systems. We're done
That's
with
awesome.
where we're at. Yeah, I've referred a bunch of business. I'm really happy to have this conversation with you. Like this has been like one of the best conversations I've had. So what are you working on right now? And if there's people that are actually listening to this, like what, like go ahead. Like this is I give everybody a chance, like pitch whatever you want. Like, what are you working on? What are you looking for? What kind of customer are you looking for? Is it distributors? Is it contractors? Tell me.
Yeah. So we're making a lot of shifts right now. So I think, we've learned a lot over the last 10 years that we've been in the US. US go-to-market is a little bit different than it is in other countries. And so, my goal as somebody who came in a little late to the game is to to clean things up and focus on what our goals are long term. And so for some of that, it's making sure that we're partnering with the right distributors in the market and that we're elevating our side as a manufacturer to provide them with what they've come to expect from manufacturer partners when it comes to extended warranty and enhanced dealer programs and tools and portals and just in general kind of up our game, right? So we've been able to accomplish so much without a big focus on that. But since I've came on board, like I shout out to Artur for basically giving me everything I've asked for to be successful and to do what's right and what we need to do to take things to the next step. But we're creating extended warranties now where our gold level ProTech dealers are getting a 12/12 extension and still earning cash back. And, we implemented an out-of-box warranty, which we didn't have before. We're creating, online tools and portals where contractors can check on their warranty statuses and pull certificates and things like that. So just things that didn't exist before that needed to come together. And the cool thing about still being a small and nimble organization is we're able, like I'll mention something kind of on the fly, and then like a week later, I'll get an email and it's like, hey, is this what you were looking for? I'm going,
see, being malleable, and because sometimes you get too big, it like moves like an aircraft carrier and you can't, your process changes, take so long. That's awesome. 12/12 is incredible, by the way.
Yeah. And it's, competitively, there are companies that already do that. It's not something that we did before, but when you compare our price point with still that same extended warranty, and then, to be honest, I thought I was going to be sacrificing on the specs. And, when I came to Cooper&Hunter, because I came from a Japanese company that really prides themselves on the engineering and the performance and the specs and the data. And so I was expecting to have to sacrifice some of that. And I was prepared because I understood the vision and the partnership and, providing all those additional benefits. Plus I had already seen the pricing, and it's stupid competitive. So when I looked into the meat and potatoes inside the systems, and I'm seeing like, our peak systems are getting 100% capacity of heating at 0 degrees. They're rated to -22 Fahrenheit. Not only are we offering a multi-position air handler system that's furnace widths, which is freaking huge in a market that's gas, but it's 115 volt or 230 volt in the exact same box. So it'll auto detect what voltage is needed.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I mean, it's just little things like that.
And it's funny because, and during the course of this episode, that's the peak is actually the ad that runs during this, right? So it's pretty neat. Like, and it's funny. I had friends from like Jersey who were like, my gosh, I need some peak. Someone get me some peak now.
Get me some peak. Yep. Yeah. We're it's growing like gangbusters. We have some distributors in Texas that are bringing it in, and that's an exclusive hybrid product for them that they're really excited about. I'm excited about it too. But
so you guys are going to be at AHR, right?
Yeah. Okay. So great plug. I appreciate that. We're going to be in the SL. I think it's 25661. I'll have to double check that. But I've got it here somewhere. So the lower section of the distribution or the exhibit hall is where you're going to find us. The south lower. I know it's spread out a little bit this year. Let me just confirm that for us. But basically, we have 3 booth numbers. We're going to be split, but it's all together. So you can come see those and see us, ask questions. One cool thing is that we recently teased some unitary style product, which is a big deal for us. So we're going to have a front return air handler, a top discharge AC, great multifamily solution at a competitive price point, and an air handler to go along with those systems as well. Gas furnace on, coming soon. But SL 1661, 1665, and 1668. So it's all over our social media and our LinkedIn.
I think the furnace is that's gonna be game changing, because now you can have
furnace big.
Yeah, because now you're gonna have a legitimate split system. I mean, it's gonna be fantastic.
It's it's something that I think a lot of mini split manufacturers have been avoiding, and we recognize that if we're really going to play in a space like that, we need to have it. We're in a gas furnace market in a lot of the US, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So we'd love for people to replace fossil fuels with some strategic electrification and go with the peak, use that 115 voltage. But if somebody's dedicated gas or wants to go dual fuel even, you can use our outdoor system, our evaporator coil, and either an existing or one of our furnaces moving forward.
Very,
So
very,
that's
very
fun.
cool. So much you're working on. Sarah, I've loved this conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on here, sharing. This hour is just like, we've done like, like an hour and 10 minutes or whatever it is. Very, very cool. I do have, so there's another show coming up. Actually, it's next weekend, and it's not HVAC specific, it's trade specific. And it's in San Diego. So it's actually PHCC.
Okay.
PHCC is running, PHCC San Diego is running a trades expo. It's at the Del Mar Fairgrounds at Bing Crosby Hall. It is free to attend, and it is on Saturday, January 31st from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. I will be there, which will be cool. Very, very cool. AHR is obviously the week after. It's actually immediately
You're
following
going
that.
straight there, aren't you?
It's Monday through Wednesday, which everybody knows about. There's 1 million people that are signed up for it. Sarah, thank you so much. Very, very much appreciated. And so see you next time, guys.
Everett. Great to meet you. Thanks, everybody.
You got it.